This is about 10 minutes, maybe a little more, of scrubbing on this with some 00 steel wool. I think it's 00. Looks a lot better. Is it show quality? Yep. Okay, I have my 10mm wrench. I think these are 10mm. Yep. And if you guys remember, in the first video, when I was digging through all the boxes of parts, there was a bunch of gaskets. There's this. Yeah. Right there, I believe. And I was so hopeful that it would fit. And it doesn't. Alright, now it does fit. It didn't want to slide on there, so I took a 21mm socket made in Taiwan, which is fitting because so is this motorcycle. Set it on there, tapped it with a hammer, got it slide down a bit, push it down with my thumb and finger. So you're thinking that this bolt that I welded on back here, I didn't think enough. Where are you at? There you go. But I didn't think far enough ahead to make sure it was metric and same size wrench, but I did. I just got lucky digging around my boxes and bins and stuff and found one. So I'll take these off. I probably need to go look for a washer for that. So here's that. Let's set these in here. I think that white stuff probably is asbestos on there. Means it gets hot. And why doesn't this want to go? There we go. Looks like I missed a washer. Okay, and back here, it just has a nice little spot that bolts up there. And there it is. Reach back in there. I'm going to put these nuts on just so it stays relatively lined up close to the frame, to the bracket, but loose enough that it can slide, because I'm assuming when we get to tightening this right here, things are going to want to maybe move. maybe not. I'm gonna try to pull them up even. Okay, tightened. And for those of you wondering, I did go get a ratchet and socket, but it won't fit on there. There. It won't fit on here and enough to... Alright. It won't fit on here enough to get a good hold on it and tighten it down. So you got to use an 1/4 inch up there. However, you can, without an extension and a 1/4 inch, you can get these two back here with the wheel on. So anyway, look at that. Looking like a moped. Here's my fuel line. It's 3/16. It was a little loose here. It's shoved on nice enough, but it wasn't real snug. So I put a hose clamp. The only one I had that size. And then this pushed on there extremely hard, and so did that. And it pushed on real hard on the back of that carburetor, and there's not really room to get a hose clamp on that. Maybe one of those little squeeze clamps, but it's not going to be under pressure, so I'm not too worried about it at this point. So next thing I guess is to put a little gas in here and cross our fingers that this does not leak. And it's in the off position. Reserve is up, and then there is the on. So I'm going to leave it in the off position, and then I'm going to... Okay, here's the moment of truth. Gas cap's off. Got my some filler up funnel and tapioca jug full of gas. We're in the off position. Alright, let me know if it starts leaking. I would assume that that's got up there, so let's turn it to on and see if we get any in our filter. Don't. It's going to reserve. Huh. Maybe it isn't even high enough. Alright, we'll go get more gas. It is possible that gas is high enough, but our float is full, or our float bowl is full, so it's not allowing any fuel to flow. And I just put in a second tub of this, so anyway, I'm not seeing a leak. I'm not feeling a leak. So that's positive. Alright, I'm going to kick it over and see if I can get it to run. First I'm going to go outside. fan running so it'll blow some air across that head. I guess I'm gonna try to mess with that carburetor, see if I can figure out which is the idle. I think the air fuel mixture is on the bottom, I think, and idle must be on top. Well, I don't know if that's right or not, but it seems like it's not too bad. And I have to choke it to kill the engine because my kill switch is broken, so I need to fix that. But I'm kind of leaning towards it might be time to put the chain on it and see what happens. I went back with the sprocket that was in the box, and I just put the chain on, slid it onto this spline shaft, and then I found the snap ring that was in the bucket of parts. Loosened up this axle bolt with a 19 millimeter, and if you look, there's a line right there, and there's marks, so you can get your wheel square. This side's on 4, and the other side center is 1, 2, 3. A smidge over 3. So we need to at least pull this side back until we get to the 4. And we'll look and see, because I think our chains seem to be fairly good. Well, it pulls itself, barely. I don't know if that's just too big of a gear on the front, or what. Well, I've got it running. I played with the timing, messed around with the carburetor some, and it doesn't really much care for riding in the grass up the little banks and such, but on the sidewalk it does okay. Speedometer works. I got up to about 17, 18. If the lights work. Nope. Oh, I bet I'm not going fast enough idle. Well, here's where we sit right now. I was wrong on my last video when I had the biggest gear I had on the front, thinking that gave me the most leverage. That's not true. The small gear on the front gives me more power. It was going to take more RPMs for the bigger one on the back. So what I did was I was thinking on that and decided that I should probably change that out. And this is my old chain, and it's kind of stiff. I could have probably thrown it in a can of diesel and got it less stiff and then oiled it up, but I remembered I had a new chain. That's a whole different story and why I have it, but it was a project I was going to do one time, about probably 15 years ago, but I kept it, and I remembered I had it, and I'm hoping that it was the right size, and it is. It was too long. Well, it would have probably been pretty close for the big gear on the front, and so I went ahead and shortened it that much, as you can tell. And then after I did, I got to thinking, here I probably should have considered, if I ever want to put a bigger gear up here, obviously this chain's going to be too short. So I got to thinking on that as well, and I remembered reading in the repair manual that I had on a little Honda Trail. The earliest ones came out, they had 2 sprockets on the back, and you could switch the gear ratios on those, and it had a short piece of chain, this piece right there, cut to length with an extra connector, which is right here, that thing, and then you could make your chain longer when you needed it, or shorter when you didn't. And then they went to they put a 2-speed gearbox in that transmission. So, but anyway, so the good news is with that changed gear, the small gear on the front, and that new chain, which I'm going to go ahead and oil it. It's oiled, but I'm going to wait until I'm done messing around so I don't have an oily chain to grab all the time. But it pulls itself quite nicely. I took it out on the yard, and it gets up to 15 mile an hour relatively easy. I suppose it could go faster, I don't know, but I did go ahead and I got a hold of Myrons Mopeds and got a hold of Sean working there, and he has the correct intake manifold for this, so I can go back with the Mikuni carburetor, which will set perfect and set nice, and the throttle cable and the choke cable and all that's going to work like it should from the factory. My airbox should line back up and set up there, and then I can set all my plastic covers on, and it'll look real nice again. I got my brand new old stock intake today. Came from California. Now here's the old one that was on there that they had modified a bracket on. You remember that? So that's the difference. Carburetor is installed. Sits on there nicely, just like factory should, huh? I run my choke and throttle cable back up through here, and got them out here. Pulled that other one out of that I had last time, and my kill switch. Since I have this apart, here's the kill switch, and it has this little bracket here that's got this little green wire underneath of it to go to ground, which touches against this little bracket, just rubs up against the handlebars to give a ground. But this is a slide, and the slider is missing. So, alright, mission accomplished on this. And would have been just probably a smarter thing to have just taken this whole housing, taken the headlight loose, found the wires, pulled them all the way back up through and out with a tow string, and tugged in the new wires from this, and been done with it, instead of doing all that just to switch a switch. Because what happened was I wound up finding out that the bottom and the top just almost exactly the same, but they didn't want to quite pull up as nice as one would like and stay tight. So I wound up unscrewing screws and smoothing switches. So, but I did spray them with contact cleaner while I had them open. So. Nothing's adjusted. Kill switch works. Alright. Time to play with the throttle linkage or throttle cable, and try to adjust that carburetor and see what happens. Well, the best this thing will do right now is barely start and barely run and then die. I don't know why. However, with the other carburetor, it started just on the first little kick. Now this one, it doesn't want to. Before I put it on, earlier I opened it up and looked inside, sprayed it out a little bit. I didn't clean it properly, so I'm going to go ahead and just see what it'll do right now. And probably see about tearing it apart. That's what they choke on. We're going to let it warm up. Well, anyway, that's what we got. So I'm gonna get it back outside, I suppose, and see if I can play around with that carburetor. It's better than it was last night. Well, I played around with the carburetor a little bit, and it rides and it pulls itself, accelerates pretty fast. Alright, I've been riding around for about, I don't know, 5 minutes, maybe 10, I don't know. I'd say that's pretty successful. And just as I was turning the valve, I could see that wants to turn a little bit. So I'm going to get a wrench on that, tighten it up.